being that I believe it is 7:30, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we will not have a flag salute, so I'm going to ask our borough attorney to call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Mayor,
Present.
Mr. Kellion,
Here.
Ms. Boland. Here. Mr. Bartoloni. Not here. Mr. Merman,
Here.
Mr. Grasso. Mr. Grasso,
Lou,
I
I
think
think
he's
you're muted.
muted.
He's still muted,
Yeah,
but he
that's what I
is
saw.
here. Lou, you need to say here.
Okay.
All right, he's here. Mr. Cray,
Here.
Mr. Caslin. I don't see him. And Councilman Kanigo,
Present.
Mr. Gibbons,
Here.
and Mr. Esposito.
Here.
Okay.
Okay. Prior notice of this meeting has been noticed both on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and notice to the records and to those people who that it's necessary that it be delivered. We don't have any fire exits to worry about tonight. The last thing, and I'm sorry about the background noise in my house, but I've got like 22 people here. The final part was that we're being recorded, and this is going to be recorded to keep a memo of the meeting. And if anybody wishes to talk, they need to notify our person in charge tonight, which is Councilman Kaufman. And thank you for joining us again this evening. And that's it. So we've already called the roll. So the first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes, 7/1/20.
Mr. Chairman, could I interrupt for a second? I see what appears to be Councilman Bartoloni's present. When our borough attorney called the roll, he wasn't here. Alphonse, are you there? I see you listed as a screen.
I'm here.
He is here.
Okay.
So if we could.
Hi,
that in
Alphonse.
minutes.
How are
He
you?
is present.
Hey, good. How are you?
I'll revise the roll.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Could everyone please mute their microphone unless they're presenting or?
Yep. Okay. So the first order of business is the approval of minutes on 7/1/20. So I'm going to ask the members, like I have in the past, that if you have any questions or anything, just state who you are first so we know who's asking the question, and then you can go forward from that. Are there any questions or concerns on the minutes of 7/20?
This
Mr.
is
Berman?
from July 1st.
Okay, I'm going to have a motion to approve the minutes.
Show me.
That was Mr. Berman, second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gibbons? Okay, so I'll do the roll call. So you can unmute.
You could just, we all in favor?
Oh, okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Oh, okay, so moved. All right, so the first order of business is the completeness review for 3 Newbridge Road. I believe that we have, I'm going to get to the more IELBJ after this, after the completeness review. So we have Mr. Suresti. Sam, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So prior to the meeting, I reviewed the mailings and the proof of publication, and the board has jurisdiction to proceed with the application. Everything is good. I'm not sure if Tom Behrens is here.
I'm here.
But everything is good from the legal perspective with the notice.
Tom, is Tom here? Tom? How about Mr. Costa?
I don't see either of
I
them.
don't see either of them here.
All right, so, Mr. Soresti, later this afternoon, a review letter came out from Mr. Costa regarding the site plan. Are you in receipt of that?
Yes, we are, and so are the professionals on this.
Okay, so you notice there was a bunch of things on there. Unfortunately, I couldn't print it out here where I am, but there were a number of requests that were made on there. Ms. Finley, you want to go over those requests real quick?
Well, do we want to do the vote on the completeness first?
All right, let's yeah, and then, because I'm going in a direction here, but yes. So without Tom here, it's kind of difficult to know if we're complete or not. I don't know where Tom is. So Ms. Finley, why don't you, we have the proofs, and you feel that we're ready to go forward, is that correct?
Yes, the applicants provided everything that we need.
Okay, so then let's take let's get a motion to move this from completeness. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call,
That was
please.
Mr. Bartoloni. Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Muted, Mr. Mayor.
I think everyone needs to unmute briefly.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Arakelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Grasso,
Yes.
Mr. Cray.
Conditional, yes. It looks like Tom Barron's just
Oh,
joined.
I just see
Do we
him
wanna-
right now.
Yeah, do we
Okay.
want to get his input prior to finishing the vote?
Let's just move forward. Ms.
Okay.
Finley felt it was good enough. I think we
Okay.
can move forward.
Okay, then I'll vote yes.
Okay. Mr. Caslin is absent. Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Soresti, we'll get back to you in a few minutes.
No problem.
All right, so let's move on to ILBJ. So ILBJ, approximately 2 years ago, almost to the date, received an approval from this board for some improvements and so forth that they were going to do. We granted their approval, and unfortunately, they have not been able to move forward with what they were approved for, partly because of the COVID and partly because they just weren't ready. So they're asking for an extension. Is their attorney on with us?
Yes, it looks like Mr. DeVito is on,
Okay.
but it
So,
looks
Mr.
he is
DeVito?
muted. Okay, there we go.
So, Mr. DeVito, you want to just give us a quick update on what's going on there?
Yeah, what happened was we were approved. It was difficult getting all of the necessary adjunct approvals put together. However, we were fairly timely when we submitted everything in the early part of this year to the town. I think everything was submitted in early February, but all hell broke loose thereafter. Normally, we would have had everything, but everybody shut us down. We had anticipated being in the ground by this summer, but because of COVID, we were stopped cold. Our Costa Engineering has been very helpful, but they just signed off only just recently. But I can't take the risk that we're going to be blocked out. We had anticipated being in the ground by this summer. The plans were submitted in early January, February to the municipality. So we were there, and we even posted the bonds, and the developers agreements have all been signed. So everything that we were supposed to do has been done. But at this point, COVID just kicked our butt. You can't criticize anybody for slowing down at this point. I can't say the town should have acted more expeditious. It can't. Everybody was just frozen in time. So what I would ask most respectfully is just to extend us as you have the authority to do, so that we can pull our permits at this time and start this project, which is a massive improvement for the area and for the town.
Mr. DeVito, my understanding was there were some changes made to the plans.
Nothing substantive, but there were
All right,
but
but you'll be willing to submit the plans into our extension, correct?
yes, yeah. There's never a problem. Costa has seen everything. My impression is that your town engineer has signed off on everything. Your planner has made recommendations. Costa has made recommendations. That's the bouncing back and forth slowed everything down, but that's typical. And then COVID set in. So yes, the problem is we have no issues with anything at this point. I believe the plans have been signed off by Costa at this point.
Okay. Any members of the board have any questions?
Yeah, we're still trying to do completeness on this application.
No, we voted on that already.
This is
We voted on the completeness for Johnson Avenue, and we're on to ILBJ now. This is the
We did,
approval of 335 Johnson Avenue.
yeah, we did the completeness review for 3 New Bridge Road, and now we're going over the extension request for ILBJ 335 Johnson Avenue.
And then we're going to bring back the other applicant.
Do we not need to do completeness?
Not on this one.
No,
Not on this, okay, that answers my question. Can we get some sense of what specifically the changes were? Maybe Tom Behrens could give us a summary?
Yes, hi. Most of the changes that were made to the plans were generally minor in nature. I think there was a transformer, if I'm not mistaken, added to the side yard, and another utility feature added to the front yard. And so I think we had, those utility changes and some minor landscaping, but the major components of the plan are generally the same as what the board approved. And I think between our office and, Rob Costa's office, we were able to handle things administratively. So from our ends, I think we were good with, I don't want to speak for Rob, but I think where we left off, our firm was good with the changes that were made, and, were deemed to enhance the project. And
Nothing would affect something like the parking account?
Not that I'm aware of, not that I recall.
All right. So they were just minor changes.
I believe so, yes.
Very good. Okay.
Any other board members have any questions? All right, seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve their request for a 1-year extension.
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Cray and
DeGrasso,
second,
second.
Mr. Grosso.
All right, and just to be read into the record, this is 335 Johnson Avenue, block 1405, lot 3. And they requested an extension from their 2-year approval that was given to them for another year. And we have a motion and a second, and I'm going to ask our attorney to call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Grasso,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin is absent. Councilman Canigo,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Members
Good luck,
of the board,
Mr.
let me
DeVito.
thank you so much. I'm sorry that I can't be there physically. I appreciate, I'm more impressed that everybody was able to organize this. Thank you so very much for the developer. You have
It's our
a good
pleasure.
night. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to move on to ILBJ LLC, 335 Johnson Avenue, lot 1405, lot 3. This whole Zoom thing is really throwing me off. I apologize. We're moving on to 3 Newbridge Road LLC. 3 Newbridge Road is the address, block 1303, lot 4. And they're here to obtain a food handler's license. And of course, in obtaining a food handler's license, there's a necessity for site plan approval. And I believe Mr. Suresti is here with us. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we've been deemed complete, and we're going to be moving forward on this application. But I had asked a question of Mr. Suresti before we got to that part of the approval. And the question I asked Mr. Suresti was if he saw Mr. Costa's letter and if he saw the pieces that are within that.
That's correct. Not only did I see it,
Sam?
yes, I did see it. We did review it with our professionals. We're prepared to address the letter.
Sam, I can't
I'm
hear
sorry,
you.
could everyone mute their microphones? Thank you. All right.
Yes, we did review the letter, okay, the August 5th review memorandum. I also forwarded it to our professionals, Steve Kester and Ho-Jun Chung. So they both are familiar with the letter and its contents, and they're prepared to address Rob's letter.
All right, so the question I have is, are they prepared to address those issues this evening? Or would you like some time to work with our board attorney and Mr. Costa to find what's applicable and what's not applicable to the application? What's your pleasure?
Well, I think we can address it. I'm going to call Steve Kestner to review the letter. But I believe the points that were raised by Rob can be addressed by the applicant. I didn't see anything in that letter that represented a problem in terms of the.
Okay. All right, so is your client with you online here with us?
He is, John Kim.
Yes, I am in. Yes. My
Good
name is
evening, sir.
Hyam
How
Kim.
are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
We're doing pretty well. All right, so why don't we get him sworn in, and then I'm guessing he's going to be your first witness, Mr. Suresti?
Actually, I'm gonna really call Steve Kestner and have him testify first. He's our site engineer.
Okay. Usually what I like to do is try to get the applicant to give us a brief overview on what he's planning on doing there, so at least we know what we're talking about.
If I may,
Would that be all right?
introduce it for you. I think I can organize it, at least lay out the framework of this application. Basically, what we're proposing for this particular site, remember it as the batting cages years ago. The site itself consists of about 1.3 acres. It's a big piece of property. It's about 57,000 square feet, and it's on the west side of Newbridge Road, or Hackensack Avenue, I guess. So basically, the building itself, it's an existing building. We're not proposing to expand the footprint of the building other than in the porch area. So if you can envision this building, it looks like a U-shaped building. So you have basically 2 wings, one on the south and one on the north side. And in the middle is this U-shape where you would enter the building. There is some addition that's going to be placed there, which the architect will testify to dress up the entry to the building itself. So the building consists of 3 components. One is a table tennis facility, which is located on the south end. That facility is about 10,000 square feet and consists of 18 table tennis tables. In the middle is the restaurant, which is about 2,500 square feet. And then on the north side, you have the larger area, which is about 15,000 square feet, and it consists of 28 simulators or golf screens stations. So the 3 components again are the table tennis, the restaurant or cafe, and on the north side we have the simulator, the golf simulator. So basically, we're providing 51 parking spaces on site. In fairness to Tom Behrens, when we originally submitted the application and the plans, I think we had like 28 tennis tables. So that the 28 tennis tables and the 28 simulators equal 56, and we thought the mindset was to allow one parking space for each table or station. So basically, we have really 10 less table tennis tables of 18. So it's 18 and 28 or 46 tables or 46 stations in this particular case. With reference to the hours of operation and service, the operation will be like a 9 to 10 operation, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. We anticipate 5 to 10 employees to be utilized in running the operation. The zoning variances really basically is, I guess we could call it out the parking if we stay with the 56 because it's only 51 parking spaces. Many of the other aspects of it are pre-existing. So the land area meets all basically the C1 requirements. This is in the C1 zone, so there's no use variance involved here. But the setback, the rear yard, the combined side yards and so forth are all pre-existing. They don't comply with the zoning ordinance, but they're all pre-existing and therefore essentially legally non-conforming. Basically, that's it. So we're talking about roughly about 30,000 square feet on basically 57,000 square feet of land area. The access to the site, as you're familiar with, it's a little bit difficult because if you're coming from the south, traveling north, you have to literally go to New Milford to access this property. You have to go to New Milford approximately, I would say about 300 or 400 linear feet, make a U-turn in New Milford, then come back south on Hackensack Avenue and then pull into the facility. So the entry for the facility is on the north side and the exit is on the south side, closer to where the BP station is located. That's basically the overview of the application. I would like to call, if I could call Mr. Kestner, he could kind of lay out basically some of the application.
I have no objections. Anybody, no objections, right, board? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Saresky.
Steve Kestner.
I'd just like to swear you in first. So do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and then could you just provide the board with your background and if you've ever presented before this board or any New Jersey boards before?
Certainly. Stephen L. Kestner, S-T-E-V-E-N, K-O-E-S-T-N-E-R, 61 Hudson Street, Hackensack, New Jersey. Licensed professional engineer and licensed land surveyor in the state of New Jersey. Engineer since 1988 and licensed land surveyor also since 1983. I have testified before the River Edge Board. It's been several years, but I recognize a few of you. Also many other boards in Bergen, Hudson, Essex, Passaic, Sussex, etc. Mostly northern New Jersey.
Okay, does the board accept those qualifications?
Yes.
Okay, so we're good to go.
Sorry, I'm just moving to a quieter location. That's why I have my video off. I'll be back in a second.
Not a problem. Basically, I'm going to just refer to exhibits. A1 would be the exhibit Steve Kestner prepared. It consists of A2, the architectural plan of Ho Jun Chung, which consists of 3 pages. With that being said, Steve, could you basically existing conditions?
Yeah, if I understand you, I think, well, I have the plan behind me. I also have it on my computer. If you allow me to share my screen, possibly I could get it up there. Or unless the board has their own copies.
Well,
I think that we might be able to do the shared screen if Councilman Kaufman can do
You
that.
should be able to. Just click on the share screen button on the bottom.
All right, let me get my proper screen up again. I am here.
Yeah, it should say it on the bottom, share screen. Just click on that.
All right, let me get back there. Here, let's see, I have, oh, there she is, okay. Now, let's see, this should be the one here. How's that?
Good.
All right, good. All right, that's the first sheet of the set. It's the location survey of the site. The one-story stucco on the left where the table tennis will be. This is the site as it exists today without any changes. The center portion would be the heating area, and the northerly portion, or the right-hand portion, one-story stucco also, will be the golf simulator area. As Mr. Suresti said, the site is located on the west side of Newbridge Road. And if I can enlarge it, at least so I can see it, and read it to you, it's just north of the corner. The BP gas station is just to the left or to the south. So it's the first lot in from Main Street. It's 317 feet across the back, that is along the railroad, 173 feet deep on the southerly side and 239 feet deep on the northerly side. Two access points, or actually one access point, I should say, and that is at the northerly side of the property from Newbridge Road, and that is access from a southerly direction. So in other words, you'd be going southbound on Newbridge Road and you make a right-hand turn into the site. Similarly, exiting on the southerly side or the other side of the property, you would exit onto the southbound side of Newbridge Road as well. Now, if I could, I think I'd like to go to the second sheet, a little more detail. It does show the parking as proposed with the handicap spaces near the entrance. And you'll also notice the one improvement to the building, let's say change to the building, maybe better said. We see a porch to be enclosed. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but it's right in the middle of the building, and that'll become part of the enclosed portion of the building. Parking spaces are delineated. There are 51 spaces proposed. We also have some landscaping and lighting proposed, and I have that on sheets 3 and 4. If I could, I'll go to those. That's it. Sheet 3 and shows the landscaping and the lighting. The circular diagrams are the lumen diagrams, and that's the area of 1-foot candle. I believe there are 15 separate lighting stations spread out throughout the site to adequately light the site. And you also notice that most of the light is contained within the boundaries of the property. There is a little spillage of the railroad area in the back and some slight spillage also to the north, which is another commercial use. The site plan also shows proposed shrubs, landscaping along the front of the building, along the perimeter of the property, that is the northerly, then the Newbridge Road boundary as well.
Steve, do you want to go over the zoning datum?
Certainly. Let me go back to sheet 2. If I could, I'll move it over. It's in the upper left-hand corner. If anybody has a actual copy in hand, the upper left-hand corner of sheet 2. Let me see if I can get there. Yes. Okay. The property is located in the C1 commercial district. Retail space requires 10,000 square feet of land area. We provide 57,464 square feet, which is well over an acre. The lot width required 100 feet, we have 318 feet. The lot depth, 100 feet required, 158 feet is proposed and in existence. The maximum building height in feet and stories is 35 feet and 2.5 stories required. We have a 21-foot building of 1 story. Maximum lot coverage allowable for the building would be 40%. Presently, there is 49.5%. So there is a pre-existing nonconformity there. So the maximum impervious coverage permitted 80%, and presently there is 94.57% pre-existing nonconformity. A rear yard coverage 60% permitted, we have a 13.5%, so we do conform there. The front yard in that retail use, 30 feet. The existing condition, 23.66 feet. Another pre-existing nonconformity. The side yard, for one side, 15 feet, combined on both sides, 35. We have 4.69, that's off the north side of the building, or the right side, as you're looking at it from the street. And off, rather, the combined left and right side yard setbacks, 27.92. And again, both of those are a pre-existing nonconformity. The rear yard, 20 feet is required, 18.5 is in existence, pre-existing nonconformity. Just below this, we have the number of parking spaces, and then we do provide 51. We couldn't find a particular requirement for this type of use, but I understand the zoning official has required 1 space for each place station. And we are proposing 46 total place stations. As Mr. Soresti had said, 18 table tennis stations and 26 golf simulator stations. So that would total 46 spaces. We do have 51. The use is in a sports facility with a food facility adjunct to it.
What about trash?
That's about it on the zoning.
Steve, what about trash location for this site?
Yeah.
Delivery.
Yeah, discuss the trash location with the architect. And if I can zoom back out, we thought the best place to put it would be the back right-hand corner of the building. There is a 18.5 feet along the rear of the building, a bituminous driveway, and that would be a place where it wouldn't be out of sight and would still be accessible to a trash receptacle vehicle to pick up the trash and unload it.
So Steve, we're anticipating we're going to have private carting service?
We are.
Okay. In addition, let's cover the store management plan because it was raised in Mr. Costa's report. Is there any specific store management plan provided for this site?
No, there's nothing to change on that, Sam. Presently, the site has drainage structures within it. There are several inlets, catch basins scattered throughout the parking area. We are not proposing any increase in runoff in terms of hardscape. So there is no further change or enhancement to the stormwater management
As far as
plan as proposed.
any site details, are any retaining walls being proposed for the site?
Let's see. I don't believe there are. Let me just take a quick look here. Let me see if I could. Gotta have very sensitive fingers to do this well. Okay. Yeah, no, there are no retaining. Well, the site is relatively flat. There are no retaining walls proposed to the site.
Okay, and did you have a chance to look at Rob's memorandum? It was dated today, August 5th.
I have.
Going through it, is there any aspect of the report that we cannot address?
No, I didn't see anything. Sanitary sewer flow calculations we could do. The sanitary sewer lateral location and abandonment, if any, we would indicate. Tree scraps, there should be proposed, shown. He would like the inspection of the sewer lateral by TV inspection. I don't see a problem with that. This is under the concerns on page 3. I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones that caught my eye first.
What about the streetscape? Rob had raised, if you look into the miscellaneous on page 4, he discusses the streetscape for Newbridge has to be in accordance with River Edge lines.
I understand River Edge does have a streetscape design and ordinance, so we would conform to that, yes.
Okay, and the same, I guess, would be the streetscape light poles, that they will comply with the latest design for the borough?
Yes, I would anticipate those being placed along the, along the right-of-way line, that is, of Newbridge Road.
And as far as the utilities that service the site, do you see any issue with reference to those utilities?
I don't. The site is pre-existing. It's been there quite a while. I don't see any need to expand the utility.
And also, deliveries, wherever do the deliveries be addressed?
I think I would like to defer to the architect on that, him knowing the interior layout better than myself.
Okay, I can do that. I'll talk to Jose on that. I have no further questions of Steve.
All right, we'll go to the board members. I'll call you out one by one. And being that we're doing it this way, it makes it easier. So I'll go to Mr. Esposito. Any questions?
No questions.
Councilman Caningo?
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bartoloni?
No questions.
Okay. Ms. Boland?
I have more of a comment than a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's opportunity here to increase landscaping. There's extra aisle width for drive-through and distance between parking spaces. And I'm wondering if the applicant would be willing to widen the islands sort of along Hackensack Avenue to be able to provide more landscaping along the whole property frontage. It's really not, it would reduce the coverage on the site as well. And I think there's a lot of areas where landscaping could be added and still not compromise the number of parking spaces.
Are you talking about the area of along Newbridge Road, the immediate?
Right, so now the island there is very narrow on the property itself, maybe just a few feet. I would think that whole area could be widened and still not compromise the number of parking spaces to provide more landscaping.
I don't think we'll have a problem with that. Steve, do you see any issue with that?
Yeah, as long as we can maintain the aisle width, Eileen, between the parking spaces, I think it's
right. There's only 1 or 2 spots that I thought that would be tight, but there's a lot of spaces where you really could enhance. It would just enhance the whole property.
Yeah, it could be tapered possibly, but yeah, to enhance that landscape in the front, and it would be a more attractive entrance to the site as well.
Right.
Eileen, who would you want us to work with on that?
I think Mr. our planner, could comment on.
Mr. Behrens.
Our office could certainly take a look and work with the applicant's team to come up with something. I think that's a good comment that Mrs. Boland made, that we could probably do a little better there along the frontage.
Great.
Okay, we have no problem with that, so we can certainly work with the borough on it.
Another question is signage. Is there any kind of a monument sign planned, or what signage on the building will be conforming to the standards?
We haven't presented a sign, but that would be part of a separate application if necessary. Zoning ordinance.
Okay, that's it for now.
Thank you, Ms. Bowen. Mr. Cray? Mr. Cray? Okay, I don't know if he can hear me. Okay, we'll get back to him. Mr. Gibbons?
No, I don't think we're just talking about the exterior of the property at this point, right?
Correct.
Okay, no questions at this time.
All right. I saw Mr. Cray left. He might have been having connection issues. We'll wait for him to come back. And Mr. Grasso.
I had a question about the signage. Is there going to be some very obvious signage that you would not be permitted to enter the property traveling north on Newbridge Road, that you have to make a U-turn and enter it, you know, traveling south?
Yes, there would be regulation signage, no left turn into the site on Newbridge Road.
Okay, that was my question, yes.
Vice Chairman, Mr. Merman, Dick Merman.
What makes you think I have a question? All right. Clear something up for me. What is your sewage disposal? You show a 4-inch main in the rear. Is that storm or sanitary?
4-inch main would be sounds like a sanitary.
Well, you say showing proposed drainage of building site. So I'm not sure if that's sanitary or stormwater. I think as the engineer, you should be telling me that.
Yeah, we have a force main.
That's
Mr.
what
Merman.
I'm asking. Yeah.
Along
you
the
said-
rear there, you see we have a 4-inch force main. It's shown on a map we had in our files from 1954.
Yeah.
And that we need to verify. But
Well,
yes,
my question remains, is that sanitary?
that would be a sanitary sewer, yes.
So that's the force main, that's your sanitary collection for all of these buildings.
Yes,
Okay,
as far
so,
as we know at this point, yes.
so you still have to satisfy Mr. Costa's comments on that,
We do.
correct?
We do.
Okay. I think you mentioned dumpster location. You don't seem to show it on your sheet 2, your site plan. I
Yep.
assume you will correct that?
We will, yeah. We had thought along the rear of the building would be the most advantageous space for that dumpster collection space.
Will you agree when you revise your drawing to locate that and to screen it with an enclosure?
We would.
Okay.
And we're going to make that subject to Mr. Costa and Mr. Barron's approval,
Okay.
yes.
All right. One thing I noticed, your parking. Your proposed parking stalls consume the entire site, in essence, which now means that the building to the north has 0 parking. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you, but this is a site plan for this building.
Okay.
And I'm not aware of any shared
So
parking between these buildings.
right now, you have having 0 parking allotted. That building is uninhabitable, unrentable. I think we need something from the building owner agreeing that he accepts that condition. Otherwise, somebody could come in later. You got a pretty sizable space there, probably close to 10,000 square feet, and you can't even put a bicycle down.
Mr. Merman, this is all, the left 1-story stucco number 3 is part of this whole project.
He's talking about the property to the,
Oh, okay, yes, you're right. I stand corrected. Okay, yep, I stand corrected. Okay, very good. Yep, I got it. All right. It's my understanding, Mr. Soresti, that you agree to install a full streetscape?
yes.
Okay. All right. We at one time on another review and another applicant looked for some decorative street lighting that conformed to a colonial theme to match the historic across the street. Would you like to look into that? I might be able to furnish you something.
Definitely, obviously, we're willing to do that. That was one of Rob's.
Okay. What else did I have? I'm not sure I understand the signage. You're gonna come in with a separate application?
Well, hopefully we can comply with the borough ordinance. If we can't, then we obviously would have to come in. I haven't really had a discussion with Mr. Kim as to whether we're going to do a mounted sign on the wall or whether there would be a ground sign. I would think, given the location of the property and the speed of on New Bridge Road, it probably would be a wall sign. At least
I understand that, but I think the board, at least me, would like to know the sizes of the signs, the locations, and whether they're lighted or what.
I'm just gonna weigh in here real quick. I think that the question was already answered by Mr. Soresti. He said that if the signage is not complying to the borough ordinance, they'll have to come back in for a sign review. It's pretty typical that we do that. There's no sense in going, continuing to discuss it. He's already said that they're gonna do their best to conform to the borough's ordinance. If they can't, they'll come in.
Okay, so now you're still gonna conform with you're still gonna address, I assume, the rest of Mr. Costa's comments, correct?
That's correct. We have reviewed them with both professionals. We did not see any.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to Mr. Cray real quick. Mr. Cray, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you. My network dropped out for a second. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of questions. On the floor plan that you showed the structure, on the ping pong, on the table tennis side, there are about a dozen, it looks like tables adjacent to the ping pong tables.
I think maybe you want to raise that with the architect.
I guess the question is, what's the purpose?
He's basically a site engineer. The architect did all the interior design. It's a good question. I think you just need to let the architect answer.
Mr. Cray, we'll have to come back to that once the architect testifies.
Okay. Second question I've got is on the parking. Are there, I don't know where I thought I saw this. Are there currently 55 spaces? Is that correct?
51.
Well, 51 is what you're proposing. What's existing?
Existing, I'm not sure if there are any marked spaces. I visited the site. I don't think any spaces are really marked there. So it's very hard to delineate the number of existing spaces since they're not marked on the site. I mean, if you visit the site, it's bituminous paving, but not any dedicated parking areas, at least not certainly striped.
And so the 51 is based on exceeding 48, where we're kind of anticipating one car per station, whether it's a ping pong table or a golf simulator. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Cray.
Okay, so just thinking out loud, if you have complete participation, all the tables and all the simulators, typically, especially in the simulators, people may be playing twosomes or foursomes. Is there going to be the potential for us to have 100 cars there if you've got two people, two simulators in the 28 simulators and two people playing ping pong at 18 tables, you're easily getting up to some pretty large numbers.
Well, I guess, theoretically that may be true. I think from a practical standpoint, I mean, a lot of this, I don't know the format in terms of scheduling or ping pong, whether there'll be tournaments, for example, and patrons. So it's really hard to say. But I would think that not all of these tables or all of these stations would be occupied simultaneously.
Well, I'm thinking about like at peak times, right? I mean, I understand, typically during the week, you probably wouldn't have 100% usage of all the tables and all the stations, but, at peak times, it's not hard to imagine with 28 simulators that you could get, 40 cars from that alone. I guess just kind of trying to understand what happens if it gets busy. If it's hopefully it's successful, but the more successful it is, the tighter that parking issue is going to become.
I understand your concern, but I do think it's a limited amount of parking, given the fact that it's not usable for people showing simultaneously.
I'm sorry, it's very difficult to hear you, Mr. Suresti.
I don't think all these people are going to appear simultaneously. In other words, we're going to have all 28 golf screen stations occupied, or at the same time having 18 tennis tables occupied simultaneously. I don't think that's realistic, and I think basically you have to look at this operation as being from 9 to 10, and that it'll probably be spread out over the period of the day.
Mr. Barron, do you want to weigh in on that a little bit?
Yeah, I understand Mr. Cray's point. In terms of the parking standard that, I came up with, basically, the borough did not have one for this type of use. So I reviewed what the borough used for the former batting cage site, and the parking count that's being proposed is substantially similar to what was approved for the batting cage site. In working with Mr. Suresti, we talked about what an appropriate parking standard might be. Having looked at other ordinances, it seemed like one per station seemed to make sense. And I think that, the point about the whole site not being 100% occupied most of the time is probably fair. As Mr. Suresti mentioned, there'll be about 5 to 10 employees on site at any given time. And, I think there's probably an opportunity that, some people will come, share rides. I know, that may not be true for the next couple of months, but I think moving forward, once things, hopefully go back to normal, people will, share rides, from wherever they're coming and carpool, that kind of thing. So from my standpoint, again, I'm the one who came up with the parking standard of 56 spaces. And again, that was when the applicant had 28 ping pong tables as opposed to 18. They've reduced that. So, now they've got, 46 stations plus 10 spots for employees or 10 supplemental spots. It seems to be fair. And again, factoring that it's a developed site and, going to be occupied by a use that is very, in my opinion, similar to what had been there previously. But those were good questions to ask of the applicant.
All right.
Anything else, Mr. Cray?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I have a couple things. This goes to Mr. Suresti. My understanding is that your client is behind on his property taxes. So of course, any approval this evening will be subject to them being paid and caught up.
That's understood. Yes, absolutely. I was not aware of that.
Okay. There were some clothing bins that were located on the site. I'm sure they were not approved by your client. They seem to show up in town every now and then. We would require those to be removed because you do need a permit to be able to have them. And they, to my knowledge, and Tom would be the guy to issue the permit. To my knowledge, they have not been approved. Is that correct?
That is correct. Actually, I visited the site on Monday. The bins are located at the far north end, the northeast portion of the property. And I called Mr. Kim on it, and he did not authorize the placement of those bins. So I said to him I would help and assist him in contacting the owners of the bins to remove them.
Okay, I have to apologize. I'm going to ask the record reflect, we scrubbed what I said about the property taxes. That was for a different application. I was reading a text as we went, and I read it real quick. So your client, to be for the record, is not behind on his property taxes, and I apologize for that.
No problem.
That's
I want to get the board's temperature on the possibility of waiving the requirement for streetscape. And my comment would be, I think ultimately down the road, something else might wind up happening here. And if that's the case, we can incorporate the streetscape then. I hate to put the onus on a potential renter to have to do streetscape on that property when there's not a whole lot of area that you're going to be able to do too much anyway. Does anybody in the board have any comments on that?
Yes. Dick Merman here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
Dick Merman.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you, Dick.
I fully agree with your proposal. My personal feeling is that this is not the ultimate development of this property. Later on down the road sometime, it'll since we have an overlay, it'll probably go towards the overlay. At which time that whole front will probably be rearranged anyway. So I agree that we should waive at this point the streetscape requirement.
All right, I'm going to ask the rest of the board just to weigh in real quick if there's anybody that does not agree. Okay, so it appears that that would be acceptable to the board. I believe that's all I have. So at this point, unless there's any other board questions, I'm going to open it up to the public. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
So many.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Okay, at this point, we're open to the public. Councilwoman Kaufman? Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak?
So Joanne, if you have a question, just raise your hand. Or type something in the chat box. It doesn't appear there's a question.
Okay. On that, I'm going to ask for a motion to close to the public.
So moved. Mike Ray.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Okay. Mr. Ceresi, you can call your next witness.
Hey, Jim, can I just ask a question real quick? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
Just a couple of quick ones. So in terms of the streetscape improvements, can we just be clear about what we're talking about? Because ultimately we'll have to do a compliance review. Are we talking about the paving, lighting, and landscaping? I guess my question is, the landscaping still included, or what's your sense of what we're,
I think that I personally feel that the lighting and the paving can be waived for now. Maybe we'll have them do the landscaping as Ms. Boland suggested, and that'll be a nice give and take.
Okay. But whatever, I just wanted to be clear, just again, when we review this thing, that we know what we're talking about. So I did have one other question about, for Mr. Kestner, about the, I guess, dumpsters in the rear of the property.
Yes.
Can a truck do a full circulation around the site that then ends up on lot 3? Is that how the site currently works?
Yeah, the site, you would proceed to the southerly boundary, that is the left-hand side, and drive around the rear of the building.
I guess my question is, will the dumpsters block that, or can you still circulate the site in that way with the dumpsters there?
Well, my thought was to put the dumpsters at the end, the northerly end of the building. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't be blocking the turning point at the southerly end.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't
still
know whether-
navigate the site well.
Yeah, I think you can still navigate that site. There, if you go to the site, you'll see there's much more than 18.5 feet there in use. The guardrail is about 35 feet off the building. So
Okay.
This does right now provide ample room for.
My only other comment is that I think there's some lighting proposed on the building, and maybe this is, I don't know if this is for you, the architect, but you may be aware there's residential properties behind the site across from the track. So just that, there's no light spill over onto those properties, that they have appropriate shielding and that sort of
Yes, yeah, the lights in the rear of the building would be shielded.
thing. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Eric Kelly, and this is the mayor. Could I ask a question?
Sure.
So one of the things I was waiting to ask the architect, but now I want to make sure that I ask both the engineer and the architect is, the rear entrance is between the employees' locker room and the women's bathroom, which is in the southern side of the building. The restaurant, which is going to create a substantial amount of waste material, is in the center of the building. But you're just proposed that you're going to put the dumpster at the northern part of the building. And I'm wondering if the entrance requires employees to walk south to the women's bathroom and then north to the dumpster, whether we might have employees sometimes not going all the way there and just dumping the garbage in the back of the building until the end of the evening and then walking all of it to the end. So I'm concerned about where the door is to the west side of the property. If you're going to, it's at the southwest side. If you're going to put the dumpster in the northwest side.
Yeah, excellent thought. And again, the architect would have the location of that door on his plan. And perhaps we would consider placing the garbage and dumpster area closer to that door. I'm really not aware of where the door is at this point.
The door is about 44 feet off the end of the south side of the building. Building 3. Table tennis size. Which puts it approximately, well, let's see, 159 plus 41 is 6,200 plus 25. Puts it 225 feet away from where you just suggested you were going to put the dumpster.
Okay. Yeah, and again, the other thought we had was for the emergency vehicles to get through, with the dumpster in the far corner, the potential is less that it would block an emergency vehicle than if it was in the closer corner or the more closer to the southerly corner.
Yeah, my concern really is that employees won't walk the 225 feet to dump the garbage correctly, and then we'll be attracting rats and other rodents and I just want to make sure that both you and the architect are in communication with how the garbage is going to leave the building and where the dumpster is going to be placed.
We had no objection to moving that dumpster closer to the door.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Can we, Mayor, would you be okay with letting Mr. Behrens make sure that everything works there?
Yes, absolutely. I just, as I said, it's a concern and I wanted it to be addressed some way, and I wouldn't hold up the process, but I do want that to be something that is reviewed by Mr. Costa and Mr. Baring.
Mr. Behrens, you on that?
Yeah, the mayor brings up a good point, and obviously the cleanliness of the site will have to be enforced, and it seems logical that the dumpster should be close. I don't know if there's an opportunity to put in another door closer to the dumpster, but I guess we'll hear what the architect says. Maybe he has a solution even. So,
Mr. Suresti, you're in agreement to let our planner be the arbiter on that?
Yeah, not a problem. I think we could work together, and I'm going to have Ho Jun weigh in on that also. I can see the point, and maybe there's another solution. The architect, but I think I have no problem moving the dumpster further south, closer to the door. It makes sense.
It's a great point, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Teresi, you can call your next witness.
Okay, I'll call Ho Jun Chung.
Yes, this is Ho Jun Jung.
Hi, I just want to swear you in. If you could raise your right hand, and do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And could you please state your name for the record and provide the board with your experience and if you've presented before the board before?
My name is Ho Jun Jung, H-O-J-O-O, M like Nancy, and last name is Chung, C-H-U-N-G. And I graduated from New Jersey Institute of Technology for my bachelor and master of science degree in architecture in year 2000. And then I have practiced for 20 years now. And I'm registered architect in New Jersey since 2007. And I have testified in northern New Jersey, such as Palisades Park, Fort Lee, Leonia, and Parsippany.
Great. Does the board accept those qualifications?
Board members, are there any questions of this witness as far as his qualifications? I think we're good. You can continue, Mr. Seresti.
Ho Jun, if you could, you want to review the proposal for the site?
Okay. Unfortunately, my computer doesn't work, so I wasn't able to upload the images on the computer. So I have to use by my hand. Sorry about that. But
sorry to interrupt, but could Mr. Kestner remove the screen share and then everyone mute their microphone if they're not presenting? Thank you.
Okay. So this existing building is made out of stucco finish, one-story structure, and height is 17 feet 5 inches, and then dividing into 3 separate spaces. For the exterior work at first, we propose to raise up the 4 foot 6 high, matching to existing building right next to it. Because the center portion of the building is currently really low, so we try to make higher the building next to the existing, then make look more beautiful than currently, and using as a entry area as a center space. And also there is a 372 square foot of this existing open porch area. And then, so we're gonna enclose this as a part of the entry lobby space to make better space. And for the front entry, actually we will renovate into an aluminum panel with a canopy and a new stocking system to make it better. So this is the work that we're gonna do for the exterior work. And as just shown on the plan, if you remember, as you enter through the building, there's your lobby with a reception desk, and then this snack bar area with a pro shop on the other side. And on the left side is this table tennis area, which is 10,882 square foot. And then we will use the table tennis area, which has 18 tables with a seating space. I remember someone has a question about the seating space, but usually this seating space for the public that who can break while they are playing table tennis or golf simulator system, or they can bring the food from the snack bar area and they can take a rest and eating there. Also, this in this area at the west side, they will have employee office space with a locker room and woman bathroom area. And this is the left side of the program. And on the other side of the right space, on the northern side, we will have a 28 units of work simulator systems with a storage space, men's bathroom, and then electrical room. So this total renovation will be 20,490 square foot. Will be renovated into new indoor facility space. I think that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, Ho-John, as far as the HVAC systems, are they going to be roof mounted or are they on the ground?
Yes, they will be rooftop units. Yes.
Okay, and as far as the elevate, well, you're not changing the elevation of the building, am I correct? We're staying with the one-story configuration?
Yes, right, correct.
The only areas I understand your testimony is that if we could look at this as a U-shaped building, it's that interior area in the U that's being the facade or the area is being enclosed as you enter the building. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify because I didn't hear. The HVAC is going to be located where?
On rooftop.
On the roof, and it's going to be properly screened?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Let me see.
Sorry, interrupted.
No problem. No problem. As far as deliveries to the building, where would the deliveries be made, Ho-John?
Yes, I thought about a certain area, or I mean, any area could be used for the loading space and then delivery. So basically, there's a control system in the reception of the center.
Okay. Okay. There was some comment now with reference to accessing the trash area from the south side of the building. Do you have any comments on that, or what you're thinking?
Yes, I agree with all the board members. So what we can do is to try to relocate to the southern side if possible. But I have to confirm with the engineer, Mr. Kushner, whether we can do it or not. And maybe we can shrink it out the access space distance.
Okay, I have no further questions. I don't know if you heard me. I have no further questions. Does the board members have any
Okay,
questions?
sorry, I'm trying to get the mute button off. Okay, I'm going to go to our planner. Tom, any questions? Mr. Barron's? I see you. I don't hear you.
Okay, there we go. I was on mute, sorry. Try not to make much noise there. Just had a few quick questions. Mr. Chung, with regard to the outdoor appearance of the building, any idea what the colors and materials will be? Can you just provide that for the board?
Basically, this is silver color, the typical aluminum panel color.
Okay.
With a canopy with the same color, and then this will be the glass. And they will repaint the stucco.
Good. So I guess a mild-looking building, nothing too wild. Okay.
Not wild.
And this may be a question, I guess, for the applicant or Mr. Soresi. Do we know who the actual operator is going to be, or can we know a little bit about the business and I guess who's going in there in the first place?
I think you could ask Mr. Kim. He's here. He's on board.
Okay.
You want Mr. Kim?
Just to quickly, maybe just give us a heads up about who's going in there.
I don't know. You have to unmute his. I don't know if we lost him.
Mr. Kim is on, but can he hear us?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. But
I asked him to unmute.
Oh, John.
Hello.
There he is.
Okay.
Yes, hi. My name is John Kim. Very nice to meet everyone.
Okay.
I am the owner of the building, and I am going to operate the screen golf and table tennis.
Mr. Kim, I just want to swear you in first before you provide any testimony. Could you just swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Kim, what about the operation? Are you going to manage and operate it?
Yes, it's going to be me and my son who's going to operate the business.
Okay. And is this your first business enterprise with golf simulators and tennis, table tennis?
Yes, but this business is my first, but I've been in business, cosmetic business for 30 years. The brand is called Nika K New York and Absolute New York. And I will try my best to operate on a neat and cleanliness basis. And I thank you all for the excellent comments. And I will try to accommodate all the legal things that is needed.
Does anyone have any specific question of Mr. Kim?
So I'm going to go down the list, but I do want to first say to your client, we love new businesses coming to town. We hope that you're able to thrive, and certainly we're here for you if there's anything we can do to help you achieve that goal.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm going to go to Mr. Esposito. Any questions?
No.
Councilman Caningo.
Thank you. Yes, just a quick question. Are there an appropriate number of egress and ingress points given the number of possible individuals that might be in these buildings? Should there be a fire or some other emergency?
Yes, I reviewed the order. IBC 2018 on New Jersey regulation, and then it complies to the code.
How many total number is there?
Occupant load. I cannot find it right now, but yeah, I will make sure to verify. But we did review everything.
Mr. Behrens, can you chime in on this?
The question was about the occupancy load or the number of egress points?
The number of ingress and egress points.
Well, bear with me. Based on the floor plan, I see 1, 2, 3,
4.
I see actually 6. If you go around the building, at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6, including the front door. Whether or not it meets the building code, I'm not fully aware of those requirements. I mean, they will have to when they go for permits, meet any egress standards. And
looking at the scale of this, it would just seem to be like a possibly dangerous situation if there were, if something were to happen. But I'll leave that.
Can we make a subject to the? I hear some echoing in the background. Can we make this subject to the building standard codes and the fire codes that it's built in accordance to? Mr. Suresti, will you agree to that?
Well, I would. Naturally, I'm sure Marina will put that in the resolution that we're going to.
Yeah, that's a standard requirement for conditions for approval. The applicant has to meet all of the borough's other departments' requirements for any application, including the fire and building code.
And ADA requirements and so forth.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
that you're good with that, Mr. Caningo?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. We'll get to Mr. Bartoloni. Alphonse? All right, we'll come back to him. Ms. Boland?
I gotta, hold on.
I hear Mr. Bartoloni.
Yeah, I just had a question for the owner.
Sure.
If there was a proposed name for the business or an operating name.
Mr. Kim, do you understand the question?
Actually, Sam, you could probably answer that even better.
The name, you mean the name of the operation? I mean, it's going to be advertised?
Yes.
I don't really know that answer, really.
Oh, name of the screen golf is called Ready to Golf.
There you go.
Thank you. Otherwise, I have no questions.
Okay. Next, Ms. Boland.
No questions.
Mr. Castle's still not on, correct? Okay. Mr. Grasso.
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Merman, Vice Chair.
You have to unmute.
Mr. Merman.
He said no questions. If I
I think
could.
he's saying no questions.
Okay, so I'll make my comments.
Okay,
So
Jim, Mike Craig, I did have one question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, for Mr. Kim, just what are your anticipated hours of operation?
To start, I am trying to open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week, depending on the business. It can be longer or it can be shorter hours.
Well, all right. So that's a good question, Mr. Cray. As far as longer hours, what are we talking about? I don't think we want you open till 2 in the morning.
Oh, no. Maybe 1 hour longer.
So why don't you state the hours that you're talking about?
Maximum o'clock.
So 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. As long as it's conforming to our ordinance.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go to Mr. Behrens on that. And also I'm gonna ask about Sunday requirements, Mr. Behrens.
Yes, I am rapidly trying to get the answer for you. I believe I have it. Bear with me. And I jumped the gun there.
All right, so
I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry.
All right, so instead of Mr. Behrens having to research all this, well, how about if the board is okay with this, we'll allow those hours so far as they comply with the borough ordinance on businesses. It may not. It may be 10 p.m. But we'll let him work with Mr. Behrens on that if everybody's okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And then Mr. Behrens will also research the blue laws for Sunday to make sure it's in compliance as well. Is that correct? Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is that Mr. Suresti? Are you okay with that?
I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, he wants to be successful. It's not an easy site.
We want him to be successful also.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And no, I have no problem with that. I mean, we're obviously obligated to comply with the law. So regardless of our expressed intentions, we got to comply with the law.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I didn't chime in there, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
It just go back to the parking, and I know we talked about this on the outside, but I'm just looking at this setup here, and we have 30 tables plus the stations for the ping pong and the golf. And I know if I ever go to a driving range, there's coaches there as well, that are doing private lessons for these folks. And I could see this place, hopefully, being very busy. I just personally think that there could be parking issues. If and when the business does well and you have coaches here and you have significant others or people that are just going to spend a good amount of time there, with these extra tables, that you might run into issues with parking. Not sure, obviously, there's anything that you can do about it, but, I just wanted to bring that up, that with all of the seating, with potentially more than one car per spot, we could have issues with parking.
I'm just going to say it's probably a self-correcting situation, because if people pull in and they can't find a place to park, there's certainly no off-street parking they can avail themselves to. So they would just have to go back on River Road or Hackensack Avenue and continue on their way. I mean, I don't see if we're maxing out the.
I could see them going to Newbridge. To the historic site. I'm just,
Tom?
I'm not causing a problem here.
Right.
I'm just looking at it as someone, who's been to a facility like this and has, run sports entities before, that there could be times where you're going to have issues with parking. And I guess it could just be, a heads up to Mr. Kim that, scheduling this, or, if you're allowing coaches or whatever, you could potentially have a problem. And I hope that's a good problem, that you're actually having people in there and it's busy. But I just could see that being a potential problem going forward.
Okay. Mr. Behrens, you want to weigh in on that at all, or we discussed it already?
Well, I certainly understand the concern. I'm sure Mr. Kim wants to run, a business that'll do well. I suppose there would be an opportunity to, for people to park somewhere else. I don't know I know Mr. Kim owns the adjacent property. Maybe, on a temporary basis that could become available if extra parking is needed. I don't know if that should necessarily be a condition of the approval, but, maybe that's an opportunity too until that site gets up and running. The only other way to, really address the intensity of the development, the building's already there, so you can only start eliminating the number of, tables and simulators, and I don't know if that affects then the business plan. So I think that'd be the only way to really correct it, and I don't know if the board wants to go in that direction.
No, I'm not looking to go that direction. It's more of an observation that I could foresee there being issues going forward. So.
It's a good point. I'm not sure how it'll play out, but might have to deal with it at some point in the future if it becomes a problem.
Right. And again, it could be a good problem. So, thank you.
Okay. At that point, if there's nobody else from the board, I'd like to make a motion, get somebody to make a motion to open to the public.
So moved. Gibbons?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, we're now open to the public. Are there anybody on the Zoom that would like to speak? You can let Ms. Kaufman know.
I see no attendees besides the participants, so.
Okay. In that case, I'll entertain a motion to close to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
and, okay, so I'm gonna, at this point, entertain a motion on approval of this application.
Can I give it a try, Mr. Chairman?
You certainly can.
All right. All right. Regarding the application of 3 Newbridge Road LLC, located at 3 Newbridge Road, block 1303, lot 4. I'll make a motion that the board grant the food handler's license, and that the pre-existing variances be recognized and granted, that the site plan concerns and comments regarding Mr. Costa's August 5th letter be addressed. What are you doing? Be addressed. That the sign requirements will conform to the borough standards, and the sizes, locations, illumination will be shown on the revised drawings. Dumpster locations and access will be resolved with the design professionals. All rooftop HVAC units will be totally screened, and the hours of operation will conform to the borough standards. I think that's it.
And the condition of street scrape will
Right.
be
Waived at this time.
And I
with the
just want,
exception of landscaping.
and I want to confirm the parking number as well, please.
I didn't hear you.
I want to confirm the parking number in the motion as well.
Okay, that the parking requirements, I believe the borough planner said were 51. And if I remember, Mr. Suresti or the engineer stated that we have, what, 46 required, I believe was the number?
If I can clarify, they're providing 51, and my letter, and the request is for 56 parking spaces, the variance. And they're
Okay, so
providing
there is a-
51.
Okay, so then the approval of the parking variance be also approved.
Do I have a second?
Just want to make sure that the potential for the increased island and landscaping coordinated with the planner would be
Mhm.
also a condition.
Fine. Accepted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Me, Councilman.
Councilman Kaningo.
So Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Grasso,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin is absent. Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Sir, we wish you all the best and congratulations.
Thank you very much on behalf of Mr. Kim and for this approval, really. I hope he is successful in
We all do.
very.
Good members, thank you very much.
Sam, great to
Mr.
see you
Kim.
again.
You're welcome.
Yes, Sam.
Good
All right,
seeing
one
you, Sam.
last item.
Good luck, Mr. Kim.
Okay. So I hear somebody speaking, but I can't make it out. But I guess that was Mr. Kim saying thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more item, right, Ms. Finley? Then we have a memorialization on ILBJ.
Yes, so there's the memorialization of the one-year extension. That also in the memorialization, it includes a condition that the applicant has to pay any deficient taxes. It was discovered that they're behind in some tax payments, and so in order to get the one-year extension that was discussed beforehand, they have to pay all of their taxes, their property taxes.
And of course, that was where I got confused a little bit with what I said before. It's actually ILBJ that is deficient. They've been notified, they know that they have to pay, and I'm assured that they will catch up on their payment expeditiously. So with that said, the memorialization was sent to you earlier. So I'm hoping everybody had an opportunity to look at it, and if everybody's okay, I would like to open it up to the board real quick. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a suggestion, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
that the signatures of the board chairman and the board
Mhm.
secretary be held until confirmation of all tax payments is received.
Ms. Finley?
Yep, that should be fine. That should be fine.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you, Vice Chair. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the one-year extension based on them catching up on their taxes.
So made.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Ms. Finley, roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Bartoloni,
Yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Grasso,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Caslen is absent, Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, folks, I want to thank everybody. I hope you're enjoying your summer. As you can see, possibly see the ocean in the background. I had to find a quiet place because we have little ones running around the house and they like to yell and scream. So I had a little tough time hearing you. So you'll see I put the headphones on as well. But anyway, I appreciate everybody getting on with us tonight. It looks like there probably will be agenda for 2 weeks from today. We'll see if I can move it off to September, I will. And with that, I wish you all health and the rest of your, hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of your summer. And I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I'll take it all in favor.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I didn't think so. Any abstained? Thank you, everybody. Good health to all of you. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
everyone, good health.
Be well, everyone.
Yeah,
We made a record tonight. And what am I, about 500 miles away from? All right, folks. Have a great night.
Good
Take
night,
care.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.